Welcome to the Prosperity Profiles Podcast, sponsored by Prosperity Profilers, LLC. They'll help you look prosperous, feel prosperous, and be prosperous. We hope you listen often, and if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. Now here's your host, four-time #1 best-selling author, speaker, and business coach, Holly Porter.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back. We are here at another day on the podcast, and I have another fabulous guest. I know you hear that all the time, but I really do. I just attract the most awesome people that I want to introduce you to. And today is it's just, I got another one. So you just sit back, relax, or if you're driving, listening, whatever it is, if you're watching the video, great. We love however you want to get this content, just get it right. So Liz Dederer is my guest today, and she is the CEO of Selling with Service and Sales School for Entrepreneurs. So we all that's almost like the 4-letter word, sell, right? That's like another F word almost to some people. So we're going to talk about that, dive in with her. Welcome to the show, Liz.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited, and you definitely teed it up right. Nobody likes to sell.
Anyway,
yeah.
And me, I'm always like, oh, but I get all the stuff attached to the sell, like, oh, but I want to protect their pocketbook and whatever. Why? They can protect their own pocketbook, right?
Exactly. Well, you just hit the nail on the head that the #1 mistake that we all make in sales conversations is that we make financial decisions for other people from our own financial positioning or experience. So it's like Capital One is like, what's in your wallet? And I'm always like, get out of theirs.
Well, I will say when I have spent the most and invested in myself the most for my business has been when I've been the most broke, honestly. And I had, which always wasn't to my advantage, but I had a Gold American Express. Guess what? It's not one of those you make payments on. You pay it off every month. Mm-hmm. And you bet that's what I put it on. So then I had to, guess what? Figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I think so much we're making financial decisions for other people, like they wouldn't be able to afford it, or, I don't know, or, whatever it is. And we don't do the ask. We don't extend the invitation. We don't even, it even starts before the close. It even starts in who we're going after and who we're deciding to have conversations with. Like it starts that early, the financial decisions that we make for other people.
Oh yeah. Well, and if they're confused on what you're selling them because you don't know really for sure what your clarity is, that makes it even harder. But before we go there, real quick, what's your story? Tell our listeners what got you to where you are here today, and what wakes you up every morning?
Yeah. So the the PG version of the story, I'll do that one for this show. The story is I grew up in retail professionally, but I've always been an entrepreneur along the side. I started my first business when I was 18. I was in fashion, and then I left and I was cleaning out closets and selling the clothes on eBay. So I'm sitting there at my desk with HTML for dummies, because that's when you have to code the eBay pages, and a Gucci bag. And I'm like, how do I use the HTML to get the Gucci in the computer? I couldn't figure it out. But that was my first business when I was 18. And I didn't know what I didn't know. And I'm out networking or whatever. But my parents were like, just get a good job, get good insurance, So it's fine. So I did that. But at one point I had 3 storage units full of clothes. That's, how big I was going. And then over the years, I continued the ascension in my professional career, growing up the retail ladder within stores, then onto the wholesale side. I moved into executive search, where I was building senior leadership teams for retail companies that were backed by private equity firms and developing their growth strategies, the turnaround strategies. And then I went back into corporate, writing the training program for an international retailer. And it was at that point I found out I was pregnant. It was about 8 years ago now at this point. And I just kind of said, I don't want to do this anymore on somebody else's clock. I'm over it. And a franchise type opportunity had been presented to me within the space of web design. So I had that little HTML-y stuff in the background, so it wasn't totally foreign. And I was like, all right, I can, there's a real problem in the marketplace where the web designers at the time were just charging these exorbitant rates and giving people really wonky websites that the web design, that the business owner didn't have any control over. I had a solution to that. So I was like, I feel an integrity and, good getting out there and helping people. So that was the business that got me out of corporate, where I air quote retired at 30. And it's really interesting. So, you know, necessity is the mother of invention. And sometimes our clients know oftentimes our clients know way more than we do. So I leave corporate, I'm hanging out with my clients. Now I've got time to like sit in their office and talk to them about stuff. And I'm seeing these, there's this one retailer that I was working with, and I'm at his store, going over some marketing plans and stuff as it relates to his web launch. And a customer comes in and he's like, I can't help you right now. I'm with my business coach. And then it's like, I'm like face palming. I'm like, no, you're doing it wrong. That's not what that's the whole point of what we're doing, is to get the customers in. You don't tell them to leave. So I jumped up and I know, it's crazy. So I jumped up and I started helping the customer, and he was like, wow, you're really good at that. And I was like, yeah, no big deal. Well, over time, I started just kind of helping more customers with like different things under the kind of business coach umbrella. And over time, they really helped me to see that where my brilliance is in this like closing part and the sales part, as opposed to the web design. So that's, I mean, if you had told me 5 years ago even that I'd be running a sales training, that I'd be running sales school for entrepreneurs, I'd be like, that's cute. No. And now here I am. Yeah. You
evolved into it.
I did. I let the clients tell me what they wanted from me. I listened, which is the key principle in sales, right? You listen to what people want, and then you give them what they want and need. And they wanted they were like, your websites are cute, Liz, but your sales support is much better. I was like, okay, my feelings aren't that hurt. I'll survive the trauma.
No kidding. Gosh. So, and how do you feel about it now?
Oh, I love it. I don't have to do project management. There's no more of like, can you move the logo like a little to the left? Like there's no more of that, you know. It's fun. I see instant gratification when like I help somebody look at sales completely differently from how they're looking at it now. And then they go out there completely empowered. Like I have a doctor in sales school, and it's been a really, really emotional week. We realized in our Teaching Tuesday in sales school that she has not been priced for profitability. She's been priced at cost.
Right. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah. So we realized that. She's like, oh my God, that's why I'm not. And she was just thinking more clients is going to be the solve. And in our Teaching Tuesday conversation, exactly, it's going to cost her more money. It's going to run her even deeper into the hole. And we realized that, and we were able to reposition her. And then I helped her to position her pricing for profitability. And she sent me this text message that literally sent me into tears. She was like, you just saved my business. And I was like, oh my God, it's crazy. And she's out there selling. She's identifying cancer in people. Like she's literally saving lives, and I just saved her business. And it's like, this is why I do what I do. This is it. Because it's, you know, the tagline is selling with service is helping more people, help more people. And like, she's legit going to help save people's lives. And I just, in her words, saved her business. Like it's mind blowing. Like that knocked me back for a minute.
Okay. My business sense says get a testimony from her right away.
A little bit. Yep, for sure.
Just because you love that, and it's like she's in the moment right now, so it's like
it's raw and real and tears, the whole nine. Absolutely.
She'll do a video that'd be better. Oh my God. Oh, that's amazing. Well, I love those. I love those kind of stories, and those are the stories really that actually sell, right? By telling the stories. So
well, it's the show versus tell thing, right? You're showing an example of something, being like, listen to how great I am, and like, let me tell you more about what we do. File.
No one wants that.
No.
So what do you feel like the results you get for your clients? Besides more sales, I mean, obviously that's the ultimate goal. Yeah, I mean, the goal obviously is to increase sales, increase revenue, and, you know, increase their client count, right? But I mean, it's really interesting because I'm doing a lot of listening because we're in pilot right now for sales school. So I'm really listening to what people are saying, the feedback, the subtleties. And what they're saying is they are now thinking like a salesperson where they didn't before. And they're hearing opportunities where I just did a Facebook rant on this, you know, when you're out networking and people, and you're like, well, what is it that you need? What are you looking for in your business? Well, I just need one more client. I just need a client. It's like, oh my God, poke me in the eyeball. We all need clients. Obviously, that's why we're in business. Is to have clients. But it's when they can now, instead of that being their only known default, they now are trained to think like a salesperson and say, maybe there's more opportunity here.
And then they use the techniques and tactics that I teach them in sales school, ask more questions. So they'll say, well, what kind of things are you doing to grow your business? And then they'll hear from the person, well, I'm speaking, well, I'm on podcasts, well, I wrote a book, well, I do this. And then they can go in and ask and say, oh, what kind of podcasts have you been on? What stages are you getting the most results from? Who did you use to write your book? Like, they can expand the opportunity within the conversation. I have a client in sales school who was going in for a sponsorship, going to a business to request a sponsorship for an event that she's doing. And she was going in to request a sponsorship for this one event. Like, that's what her goal was. And then she came to me first, thank goodness. And we opened it up and she said, there's this whole other, like, not only can they sponsor this one event, they can sponsor the series of events that I'm doing. I can bring my program into their office, and in exchange for the sponsorship, they can have their people come in so I can get, and she's like, you just opened up the whole can of all the possibility for this. So they're like, we're thinking like salespeople now, and not in like the salesy, weird used car salesman, like, hey, just, you know, like none of that weirdness, like just in terms of expansiveness and opportunity now. And that's like, I wouldn't have thought that that would be a side effect, but it is.
Oh, I can imagine. It's funny you said sales carsman, because I went there in my mind a minute ago and thought, you know, it'd be interesting to, as a exercise for your class, to challenge them to go talk to a used car salesman, give them, and have them have their own set of questions. Because what's interesting, it'd just be interesting. I mean, I'd ask for their top salesman, you know, at the car place, and I'd challenge them. Yeah, and this is what you need to do, you know, and this is what you need to ask them. But because, you know, they're trained, a lot of them are very, very well trained in what they say. They have lots of training on that. But I love that you're doing this pilot, you know, and bringing out more people that are going to learn how to do it with, not, like you said, not being salesy. Like, nobody wants that. No, but that doesn't feel good. It's like the biggest thing I'm noticing, and you just touched on it, was not just the listening, but asking the right questions. That's been a challenge for me, like most of my business career, is figuring out what it is I need to ask them to get the right answer to know how I can help them.
Yes. So I'll give you the formula for that. So a lot of people teach like a sales conversation as like a 60-40 split of like who's talking, who's listening kind of a thing. And what I feel is missing from those binary formulas is that question asking component. So I have a 3-part formula for how to think about stepping into a sales conversation. And it's 80, 15, and 5. And 80% of the conversation is the other person talking, which is not, and this is not in the order, right? You don't like let the other person fire hose you for 80% of the conversation, then you come in and ask questions, right? So, but this is like the ingredients. So 80% of the conversation is the other person talking, which is navigated by the 15% of the conversation, which is you asking questions. And I say that, you know, if Alex Trebek wouldn't allow it on Jeopardy, it doesn't leave your mouth. There's a few exceptions to that, which are, you know, the expanders. Tell me more about that. Help me understand that better. Can you keep talking about that? This is really making sense. You know, those sort of things aren't technically questions, but that falls under the question bucket. And then only 5% of a conversation is when you're actually like saying full sentences. And I even break that down further to where it's a little bit of introduction in the beginning and a little bit of invitation towards the end. No pitch. No pitch.
Oh, so much
invitation. Better. Yeah. But that 15 per 80, 15, 5 is like the golden formula. And that combined with 2 other things that I'll drop for your listeners, these 3 things combined took a client of mine from 0 to $250,000 in 18 months. So it's the 80, 15, 5 in every conversation. Always booking a conversation or a meeting from a conversation or a meeting. There's always a next. It doesn't matter what it is. There's always a next. You book it and it's done. And the third is really the first thing, adopt the mindset early and often that they're already a client.
Yes.
And then you're in total service mode and there's no point of conversion. If anyone has to convert, they have to convert out of the relationship. You don't have to convert them in, because if they're mentally already a client, you're serving them along the way. And at some point it's going to make sense to say, I can't help you anymore unless I really get under the hood. When can we set up a play date so I can really take this to the next level with you?
What a great way to put it. Yeah.
And that's like legit sales language. Like, use that. Stop being weird.
No, I love it. I have one of my best friends, and she happens to be like 75 years old. and she is so good at asking questions. I'm like, I always try to like deter it, so we get on this conversation and it's like question, and I'm answering, and it's all about me, of course. So of course I have lots to say, right? Don't we all?
Yep.
And she goes on and on, and I'm like, okay, enough about me. Now what about this about her? And I always try. She knows how to flip it back like that.
I love it.
Are you avoiding telling me? And there's other times that the roles are reversed, but it's like, dang, she's good.
I love that. I love that. That's it. It's a power positioning thing.
Yeah. What would you say is the best way for someone like me? So you listeners, I don't know if you're loving this, and I hope you've had a pen and paper in your hands so you can be writing some of these juicy nuggets down. If not, you need to go get one and rewind and listen to it again, because she just dropped some real truth bombs of good stuff. And for me, someone that has struggled asking the right questions, and I know that I need to, so I'm more aware of it now. And a lot of it is just being aware, like you said, figuring out, don't sit there and think, oh, I've only gotten to 60% of the 80. I need to, it's not about that. It's like, make it natural. Don't like be so calculated. I do personality profiling, so I know some people are like figuring that out as I'm talking about it.
Yep. Don't
be so calculated. Let it flow. Let it feel natural. Like you said, you just ask them, when can we get on another conversation for a play date, right?
Yep. Play dates.
But what would you say for like questions? Like where do you go get a list of questions? I mean, if that's not natural for you, I'm kidding, kind of, but not really. Where would you get that?
Yeah, no, I love it. So I'm creating the conversation creation challenge, where we're going to go through like, how do you get more conversations? What do you say to someone, and all of that. So that's one place where I'm going to be giving scripts of questions. And of course, in Sales School for Entrepreneurs, tons of scripts. People have an aversion to the word script because they think it's like reading and robotic. Let me actually, for those who are watching, I want to pull out the sales script that I teach in Sales School, and then I'm going to tell you how to create a sales script of your own. And I probably don't have it.
You just said that because don't you know when people have either got a script somewhere or it's like rehearsed, like 30 second pitch.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, how many times did you say that in the mirror?
I know. So like, here's, for those who are watching, here's the script that you guys can see, and I'm going to move it quick so you don't steal all my answers. But this is the script. It's questions. It's all questions. And it's formatted in a way that I've got tons of doodle room on the side here, and it's a 3-page script. So the way that this script was actually born was when I was shifting from like the web design into business coaching, and I was like ultra generalist, like I can help anyone. God, if I look back now, I could poke myself in the eye, but I was giving it all away in sales calls because I knew I could help people, and then they'd present a problem and I could pull it out of them. And then I would be like, oh my God, just do this. And they're like, you're amazing. And I'm like, thanks. And then we hang up the phone, and then I wouldn't get a client. So I had to quickly learn to like protect myself from myself all the time. So here's what you start to do is real simple. Just take a blank piece of paper, and as you're on the phone with someone, you start doodling down the questions that you're asking. Then you go into a Google Doc and you write down the questions that you asked. The next time you have a phone call, you print out, and then you just make this a really fluid document, but you can't be afraid to print and get messy and delete and everything. It is never finished. I've been using my script I created in 2014. It's 2019 now. And I still edit it and tweak it, not as much and turn it upside down anymore. It's more like subtle shifts. And I don't ask every question. And sometimes I go out of order. It's more of a conversation framework. And the clients who now have adopted these scripts, whether it's my own or they've created their own based on what I just told you guys how to do, they said what it helps them to do is get out of their head and be a much more active and engaged listener, because they're not freaking out about what the next question is. It's right there in front of them.
You know what? This just gave me an idea for my mastermind to do a brainstorm session on questions. Everybody masterminds questions as we make a document. Doesn't mean you have to adapt them. You can, I love the own thing, but like that's something you could do with your group even, where they create their own throughout the group, and then they can pick and choose what they use. But
yep. Well, I'm going to take it to the next level for you, because I think that's a great jumping off point. And then clarity comes through action, not through thought. So if they start with the questions and then they engage in actual practice role play conversations, and that you can do on a mastermind call. That's what we do in sales schools. We do sales calls. Hold on. Child. Sorry. Child entered. The sexy life of working from home as a single mom.
and it's summer.
Exactly. So so to do the practice role plays live with each other, because that's when people start thinking like, oh my God, what if I answered, it's really, really, and all these words, I use these words because people understand it. They know what I'm talking about, but there's also that like visceral reaction to it when I say things like sales, script, overcoming objections, role play. People have like this visceral reaction to like, it's going to be salesy and weird. It's fun, and it's not harmful and bad, says the salesperson. I get it, but it's how you learn. It's how you learn, seeing other people in action, and brainstorming some questions. So you've got something on a piece of paper, and then in a really safe space with people you know, like, and trust, you can have a practice conversation like, I'll be Sally, you be whoever, and let's just kind of role play a conversation.
And do you have the listeners? Okay, so everybody's on there. You have them doing this conversation. Are they writing notes on feedback and all that?
Yep. So in the pilot program right now, because we're still at an intimate size, I have everyone, I give them their scripts in a Google Doc that I share with them. So I have access to it too, because I'm a mama bear and I'm a little protective and I need to get it and check on everyone. A little controlling. So I can get in and I can look at their scripts as we're having these group conversations, and I can see where they're editing, where they're overthinking, where they need to pull it back. And it's so fun that when, just like you and I are sitting here having the conversation, but I'll be looking at all their different Google Docs and I'll see the words moving across the screen, and it's like, this is happening right now. And then they get off and they go have a conversation and they're like, that was so easy.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Okay.
Yep.
We're getting to the end of our time, and I love it and so for you listening, you need to probably get a hold of Liz, because you've just seen how powerful of information she can share with you. She's a rock star. So what would be the best way they would get a hold of you?
For the best way, always is sellingwithservice.com. And we do have the conversationcreationchallenge.com, which right now is a Facebook group where I'm teaching you how to have a full calendar so you can have more of these conversations and create your own script along the way. And then obviously saleschoolforentrepreneurs.com as well.
Yes. Okay. And do you have a new class starting soon? Is there dates on there and everything?
The next class is going to be starting after Labor Day 2019, the next cohort, and it's rolling enrollment. So it's on a waiting list right now, and we're having conversations behind the scenes. And I'm really excited.
And how long is that course?
6 weeks.
6 weeks. See, guys, you can do it. And guess what? Perfect time for the new year.
Yeah. And there's a ton of pre-content that they get. I just over deliver. Obviously, you guys can get a sense of that. Just like give. So as soon as they sign up in sales school and they get started, they have access to a plethora of content, scripts, say this, don't say that, do this, click here, like just tools, talk, and tech to hit the ground running. So then when we get started in the live sales school, live online, it's really just adding value to what they've already had. And then we do the teaching Tuesdays and follow-up Fridays, which are kind of becoming like free-for-all Fridays, where just hold open space, bring your questions, and you get live coaching.
That's the best kind of stuff.
That's the best.
So juicy, and sometimes other people have some nuggets they can add in there, and
that's where the role play happens, and that's where all of that magic kind of happens. So super, super fun.
Oh, so cool. Well, good stuff. All right, everybody. So in the show notes, we will have all that information that she just said. In case you are in a position where you cannot write that down, then go back and check that, and then you can get to our website and check out further about Liz. Liz, thank you so much for coming and joining us and sharing your knowledge and wisdom today.
Thank you for having me. I hope this was helpful for everyone.
Oh, I know it was for many. So thanks, everybody. Join us again on another day on the podcast. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to Prosperity Profiles Podcast, sponsored by Prosperity Profilers, LLC, helping you look prosperous, feel prosperous, and be prosperous. We hope you enjoyed our time together, and we'll visit again soon. You can learn more about Prosperity Profilers by going to hollyporter.com.